my business side, the content creation, you have to go through the learning pains because there's so much, I think, in that trial and tribulation.
Yeah.
Because it's not only about learning, it's also about like character building and just knowing how to deal with setbacks and all that stuff, right?
Welcome to AU 2023. My name is Luke Mihelcic. I am a product marketer here at Autodesk, and today we're at Shop Talk live here at Autodesk University. We're right in front of the factory experience here with our partners. And what we're doing today is we're doing a quick chat with Brad Rodriguez of Fix This, Build That. And before we get started, Brad, I have this Would You and I Be Friends section, I call it. So these are questions that you got to give like a pretty rapid answer to. You can't think about it.
Okay.
So I did a little bit of research on your channel. I've been a huge fan for a while. So first question. I noticed that you only have done one riverbed epoxy table in all of your 5 or 6 years now. And there seems to be this divide amongst the makers that are out there that are doing riverbeds and furniture, Blacktail Studio, and Bourbon Moth, yourself. Some hate it, some love it. Would you go on the record that you love or hate epoxy riverbed tables?
I would say I love them, and I haven't done one because I did one like at the very beginning.
Yeah, it was a curved
and
one.
It was a waterfall, so it was one of the first ones on there, and then I was like, and then it just exploded.
Okay.
And I was like, I didn't want to be like in that mainstream, but Cam's a really good friend of mine, Blacktail Studio. John Malecki does a ton of.
He's in Pittsburgh guy too, I think.
Yeah, and he does a ton of river tables. So I love them. What I love about them is when people take it to the next step. So like the traditional one, it's kind of played out. But I love seeing, especially like John and Cam both do really awesome work, and they do crazy stuff with them. That's what I like seeing. Now it's like, okay, what else can you do?
So as a new woodworker myself, should I even attempt one, or is it just it's a black hole?
If you like it, I think the hard part is that epoxy's not cheap, right? So like,
and if you mess up,
and so that's like, I would say, if you did one like a side table, end table, that might be a good place to start. So that you don't waste like $900 on epoxy.
I did think it was funny that you did one and never again. You did that one table.
I was just like, let's move on.
Okay. Next question. You have built so many table saw sleds, and I've built, I think, 1 or 2 of them. How many of them do you actually still use? And if you had to do it over again, like, what's the table saw sled to like rule them all?
Yeah, I would say you want it big, but not too big. That's the key, because then they start getting really heavy.
Yeah.
And then also, I like to have like a 1/2 inch base instead of a 3/4.
Yeah.
But not too thick. So that's the thing. It's like, it's all about the weight.
Because then you lose some. Yeah.
Yeah, and because like you can't then put in your like T-track.
Yeah.
So at 3/4 you can put in T-track. At 1/2 inch you can't. That's okay, because I like having like T-track up the top, and then I like it to be 24 inches deep so I can cut cabinet parts.
Okay.
So that's my big thing, because I don't have a sliding miter saw. So that like 12 to 20 inch cut, that's what I use it for the most. So that's what I like. Kind of a big one, but not too heavy.
Okay. So I think you've answered this question on your channel, like for like newbie woodworkers. If you were gonna, what would be the very first thing you would buy, most important? Track saw, table saw? Because I've heard people say track saw can do it all. You can do it without a table saw. Like, what's the thing you'd recommend a newbie woodworker?
I've been woodworking for a long time, like over 20 years.
Yeah, way before the channel started, you've been doing it.
Yeah, and so track saws weren't really a thing back then. And so I grew up on the table saw, so I'm going to be like, table saw?
Okay.
But the track saws are, I'll tell you what, have you seen like the Craig ACS system?
Yeah.
If you get a track saw with like the whole mount and everything, you could replace the table saw.
Okay. And my last question has 2 parts.
All right.
So what was you, and this is like you knowing your own content.
Okay.
So I did a little thing. So what is your most popular video by number of views, and what is your least popular? I know the answer.
Well, I know the answer to the first one. That's easy. That's the vinyl plank flooring.
Yeah.
I think it's like 26 million views, something
Why?
like that. It was something I partnered up with Home Depot to do it.
Okay.
And it was when they were launching life-proof vinyl plank flooring.
Okay.
And then they put that on their end caps, And you know, like since that was 2018, I think.
Okay.
And it all of a sudden became like the hottest trend, and I had like one of the first videos out there, and so it just blew up.
Gotcha.
I have the answer that you don't have.
Oh.
Because I have unlisted videos.
Oh. I didn't even think about that. So, okay, I want to know that one then.
So on unlisted videos, it would be, I've talked about this in different areas, but my very first video was how to install insulation on a garage door. Like one of those kits where it's like foam and you put it in the panels.
So it was live and then you unlisted, because I think I remember seeing it. Okay.
Yeah. And so that was like live, and it was just so bad. There was one light bulb in my garage. This was 2014.
Okay.
One light bulb in my garage.
Terrible audio.
Samsung S3. It was just the worst.
Okay.
And so I didn't delete it, but it's there, so I always can remember.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your honesty, and we would be friends for sure.
Perfect.
So for anybody,
what was the live one? What's the answer for the?
Actually, you know what? I had it and I lost it.
Answers.
No, I didn't write the answer down.
Okay.
But for those of our viewers that aren't familiar, could you just introduce yourself and talk about the channel and why you decided to get into doing what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So Brad Rodriguez and I run Fix This, Build That, where it's basically woodworking and DIY. We do anything from making tables and furniture to remodeling the home, outdoor projects, all kinds of stuff. So fix this, build that. That's kind of the idea of it. And what drew me to it, so my schooling is in mechanical engineering.
Okay.
But I grew up in Boy Scouts, and I grew up kind of working with my hands, but not really, more like outdoorsy kind of stuff. And then when I graduated, I moved to Cincinnati, started working with GE Aircraft, and I was like, all right, I want to learn how to like work with my hands and do some stuff. So I started, I bought a place and started remodeling, started getting into DIY. So I started getting some tools, a miter saw, some drills. And I started watching like Norm Abram and Ask This Old House and all that.
The OGs.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then that turned into, woodworking. And I took a class at a local woodworking store, and then I took a community class, and then that was kind of it. I was like, man, I love this. This is a great hobby.
So why did you decide to take like that woodworking hobby? So like you kind of got to my next question for me. So when did you make the decision like, hey, I'm going to take this hobby, woodworking, that I really love, I got this passion for, and like turn it into your full-time job, and also decide to do like a YouTube channel, because these things aren't that easy to do. I mean, there's a lot of effort that goes into what you do.
There is. So it was like, it was a long transition. So I started woodworking around like 2002-ish, right? That's when I kind of got into it. And it was just kind of like a side hobby for a long time. We moved a couple houses, and I had a wood shop in my basement, but it was like, we're in Cincinnati and we had basements, which were awesome.
Yeah.
I don't have a basement now.
I live in Pittsburgh, so I know what you mean.
Yeah. So, but it was like out of sight, out of mind. And like our garage was on the first level, and so I hardly went down there. Unfinished basement. I took a job. I want to move back home to Nashville. Took a job. My wife and the kids and I moved back in 2013, and then the shop was in the garage. And so then I started seeing it, because I'm going in and out of the garage all the time. So I had like a little nook there, and so I started getting into it. And then plus I had left all the woodworking folks that I knew in Cincinnati. So then I got online onto Instagram to share.
And so you started on Instagram first?
Yes, I started on Instagram in 2013, the end of 2013. It's actually, so it was like 10 years last week.
Okay.
Is when I started my Instagram channel. But it was just I was just sharing stuff with people, and actually, I guess that was when I started Fix This, Build That. I started a personal one a little bit before that. And it just like, I started putting stuff out there, and it's like one of those addictive things where people like start liking and commenting. I'm like, this is kind of fun.
You're like, I'm
I like
deal.
this. Oh yeah, I literally just posted on Instagram about like the 10-year thing, and I have a screenshot of when I hit 50 followers on Instagram, and I was like, this is amazing. Like, you guys are, like thanking all my fans.
And like 42 of them are family members, right?
Yeah, and the other 8 are bots.
That's
it's
awesome.
Like, and so anyway, that was like the beginning, and then from there, I was just having fun and doing it, and I didn't really think, because I was, in engineering, I'm 10 years in.
Yeah.
I'm a director. Like, I'm making good money, right? And so I'm like, this will just be fun. This would never replace it, though. But then, like, I just started going, and brands started reaching out, and people were like, hey, I wanted to, work with you. And I was like, okay, cool. And then finally, I remember we were on vacation in September 15, I think. And this company called me and they're like, hey, we want you to do a blog post. And I'm like, okay, cool. They're like, we'll pay you $200. And I was like,
hey now.
Like, you're going to pay me to do this?
$200.
Yeah, I mean, I was pumped. Even though, like, you know, even though like I'm making all this money, you know, in my day job, I was like, $200.
But that's a side hustle money.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Money,
I was like, I could buy, you know, a new set of drills or whatever.
That's awesome.
And then, and it was just one of those things where you just, the more you do, it just kept going and going. And so, and then it finally, then I went full time. So fast forward, you know, 2 years later, I went full time in August of 2017.
2 years is all it took. From that first $200.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
It was pretty crazy. So it was just, it went really, really fast. And we had some videos blow up and it was awesome.
That's awesome. So a couple questions about like the woodworking industry in general and this kind of maker movement, DIY movement that people are into. So I mentioned right before we got on camera, I made your furniture. So your deck furniture.
I'm still waiting for pictures. The wife has to verify.
I made the slight modifications because of material access and tools. But so when you think about like this like DIY, you know, woodworking industry, like why do you think this is happening now? I mean, I know like I go to places like, you know, like IKEA, their stuff seems like maybe not the quality that I want, and then I go like the opposite to like super high-end places, and they want like $1,000 for outdoor furniture. So like for me, I'm like the cheapest person I know. So it's like if I can make it, I'm going to do it. And I'm thinking, with this woodworking industry, it really seems like that seems to be a big part of it. I wonder what your thoughts are.
It is. No, I think that's where a lot of people come is like you get your first house, right? And you're like, okay, we need furniture, and you're like, I don't got no money for furniture. I just say, especially now, like the interest rates are so crazy.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, you go to the store and it's like, I mean, $1,000 is cheap for outdoor furniture, like nice wooden outdoor furniture. So then, you know, they're like, hey, well, I can build it. You know, I can watch some YouTube videos, and everybody's an expert after you watch a few YouTube videos.
Oh, I'm a total expert.
And so you dive in, and I think that part of it too, I think, is, and what really got me there, and this was, again, you know, a decade ago, so even now I think it's even more, is like the draw back to analog.
Yeah.
Right? It's like everybody's so digitally overloaded and you're just like sitting there, you're on your phone, and it's like getting out and being able to make something with your hands, and when you're done, you're like, I made that.
Yeah, it's
right?
there. You can touch
and
it, feel it.
anytime you're right, your friends and family come over, you're like, hey, I made that, right? Like,
now, my outdoor furniture.
I'm sure you tell them.
It is the most uncomfortable outdoor furniture that I have because I made the seats too long and it's kind of like awkward. So I got to make some modifications to it.
But it's still it's yours, right?
Oh, heck
you're like,
mine. It's
and then you point out all the mistakes. You're like, I did, and then like nobody would ever notice.
No one would
unless
ever
you point
notice.
it. Yeah.
So like when you think about this industry and you think about the things that you're making, so you use Fusion for a lot of the things that you're building in some cases, and I'm wondering if you could talk about like the impact that has on like the work that you do. Like you talk about digital to analog, but there's real value in that digital a lot of times, and I'm wondering if you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, and so to be completely transparent, I'm still early on that journey of transferring over into Fusion, and it's just because I've been so ingrained in SketchUp.
Yeah.
So I started on SketchUp like 2005, 7, something like that. So I've been using SketchUp for like 15 years, right?
Okay.
And so I'm like really familiar with that. And then so like but I trained on AutoCAD R14.
Oh, geez. I think you and I are the same age because that's right about where I was too.
Yeah, so I graduated in 2000.
Okay.
And so, you know, so coming back to that and getting into it, but the thing that I love about Fusion that SketchUp doesn't give you, one is the parametric, right? Parametric is so nice. And so one part of my business though that I do use Fusion a lot exclusively is 3D printing. So I hadn't talked about this a lot on the main channel, but we have a whole 3D printing side that I've been doing basically since the pandemic.
Okay. And these like fixtures and jigs and that sort of stuff?
Getting there, but a lot of it is, and then it's also just like random household stuff.
Really?
Yeah, I've been making.
How did I miss this?
It's a hidden channel.
Okay.
FTBT 3D.
Okay, I'll have to check it out.
I mean, it's not hidden, but I don't really talk about it. But and so like I love that technology and like being able to do those little intricate parts. For me, what I'm still learning, going through the learning process, is like the multi part.
Yeah.
So I'm really good at designing a singular part.
Me too.
Right? And so then it's like, but the multi ones, it's not even about the connection. It's just like the drawings, and that's what I'm trying to master and get into is like, how do you make sure you get all those? Because the nice thing about SketchUp is it's kind of like, you know, Fusion for Dummies, right? Where you can just push and pull and you don't have to worry about messing up the sketch. But the part that really stinks is like, if I've got a 24-inch cabinet and I want to make it 30, I got to go in and redo every part. So that parametric piece, that's where I've started converting, is doing cabinets, because then cabinet, you just get the one body. Yeah. And I was just talking to the configurations team. I'm really excited about that.
I was just going to mention configurations. Like you make one cabinet, you got every cabinet.
Exactly. I was just talking to Sammy and some of the team over there last night, and I'm really excited to learn about that.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
That could be cool.
Yeah, I mean, talk about like a game changer. Like that's something that I think, because I think there's a lot of people that are, whether they're makers or even professionals using this, like the ability to just take those configurations and just do your basic one, X, Y, Z, whatever it is, and then all of a sudden you have every variation of whatever cabinet you want, or whatever it might be. Cabinets is a great application.
Yeah, it's super exciting.
So while you're here, have you had any chances to maybe take some classes coming up here this week, you think? Because you said you're a newbie and AU is where you come to learn. Are you planning on taking any? Or?
Absolutely. I want to learn just more about the assemblies, basically, right? And I also saw, and I don't know enough yet about like I'm just like in Fusion, right? And I'm like doing my stuff, and I don't know all the product line. And I see it all, and I'm like, one thing I'm really wanting to get into is animated instructions. So you've seen the plans, right? Yeah. They're just PDF. But what about if we had a supplement to that was like an exploded, right, and animated, where you could move it around, because in something that it's like, I don't like giving people a 3D model that they can just mess around with, but if I had some place where they could go to and like a read-only, because a lot of those other ones, there's no read-only. You can give it to them, they can do whatever they want to with it.
So there's areas where like Fusion can add value, like not just in the design and engineering of what you're making, but also the marketing that you're doing, the plans you're providing to people that are downloading your stuff. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's where I think the next stage for us and for our company is to figure out how do we do that, and I would love for Fusion to be able to help us get there, because I think there's a lot of opportunity versus just giving somebody this model, be like, okay, here's the model. Oh, and by the way, it's already pre-programmed. You hit an animated scene, and then it's like, oh, this is, it's like an IKEA instruction manual, except actually worth something.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Has words too.
Yeah. So a couple more questions for you, and we're going to switch over to what we're calling our would you rather section.
All right.
And we're going to keep this woodworking focused.
Got it.
And you've been doing this for a while. Would you rather buy one really expensive piece of equipment, and I'm going to throw out the domino, thousands of dollars, or would you rather buy a lot of inexpensive equipment and like fill out your kit a little better, but it's not maybe the quality or the durability? And I'm wondering, as someone that likes this stuff myself, like, should I go spend like $1,600 on a domino, or should I spend $1,600 and get a whole bunch of other stuff? Yeah, so I'll give you two answers, because I think it matters where you're at in the journey, right? I think if you're new, you don't go plunk down the $1,600, right? Because then, like, you could invest all your money. But I have a domino. I just recently, and this kind of answers the question for you. Yeah. I just got it like 2 years ago. Really? And I've been woodworking for like 20 years. So, so now that we've met, I might be the cheapest person that you know. So I like getting a deal. One thing that I would say, instead of doing that, go to Facebook Marketplace now. It used to be Craigslist. And get the used machinery. Oh. Now, I didn't even think there's probably a ton of it, right? Since the pandemic, everything is super high, unfortunately. But used to, you could get stuff for 50% of retail. So whenever I tell people, I'm like, invest in like a good quality contractor's table saw. If you could get one for like $400 used. Like that's versus getting like a bench top, like a Ryobi, or like even like a little DeWalt one that's only got a 24-inch table. Get the cast iron 27-inch table, and then you can get a joiner, a used planer, like those versus having the one tool, because then you can't mill anything. Right? And but then down the road, man, domino is nice. It's so nice. So you kind of started to get into my next would you rather. So would you rather, as a newbie, because you probably did this the hard way, I'm guessing, watching some of your videos, would you rather buy S4S material and not have to worry about milling your own lumber, or would you rather buy the planer, joiner to be able to mill your own rough lumber and save the price on the cost of raw materials? Because I've heard different. No, it depends on what you're doing, right? I mean, it depends on why you're in the hobby too.
and like what you're trying to get out of it. If you're trying to get that kind of release and you're trying to get just to be able to transform, because I think that's part of it too, right? When you get that rough piece of wood, and then like you turn it into that S4S, that's already a transformation. And it takes a long time. It can take a long time.
It does.
Versus, right, if you're trying to just like build stuff quickly, you're going to pay a premium for the S4S. But I love milling. Like there's a lot of things. You do a
lot of it. Like a lot of your projects I see you do, I'm like, why didn't he just get S4S?
Right.
And then like, you're like one of those, I think, odd people. You probably like sanding. You probably like milling your own
Nobody
lumber.
likes sanding.
I know.
Nobody likes sanding. I hate sanding. I like milling though.
Okay.
I like a lot of those. Yeah, I like those processes because also the thing is like, same thing. I get a lot of lumber off Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, like wherever. I'm getting lumber.
And
you
it's
can
beat
get,
up.
Oh, and it's, and there's a lot of character to it. And it's just awesome. I think the opportunity is so much bigger. You're going to have to work through a lot of waste, but it's just like, it's time versus money, but also it's like a compliment. So it's not all about being cheap necessarily. It's like, my dream is to take a tree. So we just bought a new property.
I know. I've been watching your remodel.
I haven't showed yet, but I went up into the woods.
Okay.
So we have like an acre and a half of woods back there. I found this walnut tree.
Oh my goodness. You're gonna go soup the nuts on it.
I mean,
awesome.
I would love to. I'm not gonna touch it for a very, very long time. And like if I ever leave the property, I'll be like, all right, I'm taking that tree down. But going from a tree like that's on your property, cutting it down, slabbing it, I would love to get like a sawmill.
And like something your kids are gonna like have. Kind of thing.
And then turn it into like a dining table. You know,
awesome.
Like that to me would be like the ultimate. Like that used to be a tree that grew on my property.
Okay, so last, like, would you rather? Would you rather, like, go through all the growing pains that you've gone through, learning all these things, or would you rather, like, if you could snap your fingers and be where you're at right now, doing what you're doing, like, the value of the experience, like, would you go through it all again?
I'll answer it on two sides. I know you said woodworking. On woodworking, honestly, I would take the snap. I'd do the Thanos and just go straight to it.
It's so hard sometimes.
But on my business side, the content creation, you have to go through the learning pains because there's so much, I think, in that trial and tribulation. Because it's not only about learning, it's also about like character building and just knowing how to deal with setbacks and all that stuff, right? If you just know the knowledge, but you don't have like the perseverance and like the thick skin from going through it, that could be, like with woodworking, no big deal. It's like you're all doing right here. But in content, like, we're putting ourselves out there to thousands, if not millions of people. If you just like gave somebody the wheels and this huge audience, they'd be like crying in their bedroom, after the first video.
So how is the remodel and all the wood shop going?
So we just bought a new property, and it's like a shop, 30 by 35 shop, plus...
It looks like it's a disaster.
It was a disaster. It's down to nothing now. It's just the metal walls and the timbers. And so I'm actually, the latest video that I just put out was on building a base for a shed.
I saw that one. I just watched it the other day.
Because I'm doing a shed, and big reason of that is because we're running into major delays on the other side. So we had like all the stuff I showed in the video about the wood's rotten, but then as I got it out there for the contractor to talk about quoting out for fixing it all up, he's like, this grate is all messed up. Like this is not good. I was like, I want to add a shop to the back too, which I'm not talking about. And he's like, that's not going to be good because you got to, and I'm like, so now we're in this whole like, do we just blow the whole thing down and start fresh? It's like one of those points. You
got to make the decision.
You might be at the same amount of investment. But then you'd have this brand new thing, but it's going to take longer. So, it is evolving.
So that's going to be it for our time here. I really appreciate you coming on and chatting with us and sharing all your experiences. I want to give you a minute to do your plug for your channel, make sure they know all the socials, so if you want to take a minute and do that. But it was super awesome to meet you and to get to chat with you. So if you want to, if you want to tell the audience all about the channel that they should be subscribing to and liking to, that'd be awesome.
No, it's just search Fix This, Build That anywhere and we'll show up. We're everywhere basically, but if you're looking to get into woodworking or fixing things around the home, we might have some good content for you.
Thanks again, man. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Luke.